Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at this really powerful material from Garrett and Andrea Widner, shared at a house church service.
Yeah, it's quite something. They blend their own personal story with this huge social mission they're on now.
And they kick it off with some real, unexpected humor. Andrea introduces Garrett, get this, as her bully from middle school and high school.
Right. It hooks you straight away. And that story about the first meal she had at his house. Hamburger patties, corn, rice, and gravy.
And she actually liked it. She had to admit it was good. It's just a great little moment before they, pivot.
It really sets the stage. That shared past, the humor, it grounds what comes next because they face this major challenge finding out they couldn't have biological kids.
Yeah, and that led them directly into foster care, which ultimately is how they adopted their daughters, Kara and Kinsey.
And Kara's story.
Wow.
Wow, it's intense. They got her thinking she was maybe 3 months old, but she was only 1 month.
Just over 5 pounds.
Mhm.
And, addicted to 5 different drugs.
Yeah. 5. The doctors diagnosed failure to thrive. She had paralyzed bowels. She literally didn't know she needed food to live.
It sounds completely hopeless. But then this intersection of, intense medical care and prayer.
Exactly. Because later, a brain assessment came back, and instead of showing delays, which everyone expected,
She tested advanced.
advanced. It's kind of staggering, right? How do you explain that medically versus, well, spiritually?
And then there's Kinsey.
Mm-hmm.
Her story is heartbreaking in a different way, just sheer neglect.
Yeah, fed only twice a day. And the detail about her parents blowing marijuana smoke in her face to make her sleep, it's just awful.
But there was someone fighting for her. Her grandmother, Frankie, actually called DFS.
And she specifically prayed Kinsey would end up in a Christian home, which is exactly what happened.
So these experiences, they didn't just stay personal. They became this broader mandate, didn't they?
Totally. They talk about James 1.27, caring for orphans, and for them, sometimes that means sitting with kids they can't adopt. Like Sia, this former foster child they still support.
That perspective shift seems pretty key. It explains why after 18 years pastoring in Kansas City, they just packed up and moved to Dallas.
Right, to focus full-time on their ministry, Backyard Orphans.
And Garrett uses this really powerful image for the problem they're tackling. He calls the foster care crisis the broken wall.
It's a reference to Nehemiah in the Bible. Nehemiah saw Jerusalem's walls broken down, leaving people vulnerable, insecure. Garrett sees the foster care system like that, a broken wall exposing vulnerable children.
The scale of that break is, well, it's huge. 700 kids entering the system every day nationally.
And he pointed out that where they used to live, Texas County and Wright County in Missouri, the rate was double the national average.
Right.
Double.
Which leads to what they call the waterfall of brokenness.
Yeah, that's the downstream effect.
Right.
You have 20,000 teens aging out of foster care each year, often with zero support.
And the outcomes are devastating. 80% become targets for human trafficking.
50% face homelessness.
And a third end up incarcerated.
He even mentioned that Texas prisons apparently use foster care numbers to predict how many prison beds they'll need in the future.
That tells you everything, doesn't it? The system itself anticipates failure.
But Backyard Orphans offers this surprisingly simple strategy. Connect the need to the resource.
You've got around 400,000 vulnerable kids identified by the government, agencies, missions.
And you've got about 350,000 churches in the U.S.
The math is almost 1-to-1. If every church helped just one family involved in foster care.
The crisis could essentially end. It shifts it from this massive government burden to a community opportunity.
It ties back to Nehemiah, right? God gives the plan, but the people have to rebuild. Hammer in one hand.
Weapon in the other. Building and defending. Everyone taking responsibility for their portion of the wall.
So the message really boils down to finding purpose by living out our own identity, right? As adopted children of God, caring for others.
That's the core. And that fire analogy Garrett used, Jesus being in the fire with you, like the Hebrew boys in the furnace.
Who came out not even smelling like smoke.
Exactly. Implying a kind of healing so complete, it's as if the brokenness had never been broken. Just total restoration.
It really leaves you thinking, what's the broken wall in your own life?
Yeah.
Your faith, maybe, or purpose, or relationships.
Yeah, and what would it look like for you to ask God for the timber, the resources, the help, whatever you need to start rebuilding that specific part of your wall? That's the next step.